Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and on this show, ambitious women learn how to create a life they're obsessed with, without the hustle, without the grind, without torturing ourselves, and without following anybody else's rules. This podcast is all about creating our own rules, owning our identity as creator, and hitting every single goal we set for ourselves. Together, we're redefining success on our terms and building lives that look as good as they feel. Let's dive in. Okay, let's talk about money and worthiness. I am so excited about this conversation. Welcome back to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and today we are going to talk about one of my very favorite topics, which is money. Money. And this is not, I want to be very clear, this is not a podcast about how do we manifest more money, because that's not the point of what we do here on the Uncensored Self, right? I am a firm believer that we make more money the more worthy we believe we are. We make more money when we remove the stories and the bullshit and the lies we sell ourselves about why we can or cannot have it. So what we're going to talk about here today is money through the lens of worthiness and our stories around money and how we are letting money run our lives, not just because the outside world says that that's the outside world says that it's important, but because it is an important part of self-love and self-worth and growth. So that's what we're going to dive into today. But first, I want to talk to you about my story with money so you can just kind of understand where I'm coming from. I have had a money story for as long as I can remember. Like, I literally remember talking about money in college and feeling like money was something that I knew that I wanted. I wanted to make money. I wanted to make a lot of money, but I didn't know how. I very much came from a hard work story, a suffer and struggle story, a very typical, put your head down, get to work, do what you're told, don't ask questions, let your work speak for itself mentality. And so most of my life, I have believed that money was the answer to all of my questions and that it was very hard to make, which in turn led to making a lot of money, but always making it in a really hard way. And so I've made money and lost money and made money and lost money, or made money and spent money, or made money, saved it, and then needed it for something else. So even up to, I share this with you guys a lot. I'm very transparent. I had a $1.2 million year in business one year, and I was not rolling around in money. That business was extremely expensive to run. And I spent the money, right? Because I had just this weird thing about money, and my worthiness was so wrapped up in money. To me, money was the key to success. Money was the key to freedom. Money was the key to everything that I wanted. And I chased it and I chased it and I chased it and I chased it. And sometimes I caught it, but I could never hold on to it. And what I've learned in this journey, in my uncensored self journey, if you will, is that it is because I still had my worthiness, my enoughness in money, in something outside of myself. And whenever our worthiness and our enoughness is outside of us, nothing is going to make us feel worthy and enough, right? You're never going to feel fulfilled if you think, once I make this amount of money, then I will be happy, then I will be enough, then I will have proven it to myself. Because even when you make that money, because inside of you, you don't feel worthy, you don't feel enough, you don't feel like you've earned it, you feel like you have to prove it in some capacity, it's what's wreaking havoc in your life. You cannot chase something and catch it and expect that thing to make you happy, because again, happiness is an inside job. Fulfillment is an inside job. Worthiness is an inside job, right? So that's really what we're going to talk about here today. Whatever your is with money, whether you have a lot of money and you still have an unhealthy relationship with it. And that's something I want to talk about too, because I think there is a belief that people that make a lot of money don't have money stories. And I have seen that to be untrue. I've worked with people making millions and millions of dollars, running, 8-9-figure companies who have money stories. I've seen people with brand new businesses, with 6-figure corporate jobs with money stories. So I don't think, again, this is not about money. So it is not about the amount of money you make, or the amount of money in your bank account, or the amount of money your parents have, or the amount of money that you currently have, your spouse has, your partner has, because again, money is just something that we are using as a way to gauge our worthy in an unhealed way, right? That is not the point of money. We're going to talk about what the point of money is. But if you have a money story, it is because you are using money as a measuring stick. Am I good enough? Do I have enough? And as long as that is what's happening, it doesn't matter what the balance of the bank account is, because you're never going to feel like it's enough. Because again, you're waiting for that money to make you feel happy, fulfilled, whole, safe, secure, and free. And that's never going to happen, because that's not money's job. That's your job. Right? So I want to start there, because I think that that is important, because again, there's a very common misconception that if you make money, or you've made a lot of money, that you don't have a story. And I'm here to tell you that we all have stories. And the only way that we get rid of the story is if we tell a new story, right? I've been using this example a lot with my clients lately. And I think this is a really important one, because there's a lot of stories in personal development where the thought process is I've got to go heal, right? I've got to go heal myself. I've got to heal my stories. I've got to heal my trauma. I got to heal my money story. I've got to heal my relationship with money. I've got to fix this. And the truth of the matter is that's not what I suggest at all. That's not my work at all. The way that I suggest this is that we don't need to go back and fix whatever the story was. We all know what the story is because we can tell by looking at our bank accounts, by looking at our businesses, and by looking about the way we feel and handle money. So you don't need to go looking for your money stories. This was something that I think I got caught in very early on. I was looking for my money stories. My money stories are clear as fucking day. I know how to make it. I think I will be worthy when I make it. And then when I discover that I make it, I'm still not worthy and I'm still not whole and I'm still not complete and I'm still not enough. So then I blow all the money and I start all over again so I can feel important by making money, right? Full transparency, my friends, but this is very much my story. I did not need to go do a ton of healing work and looking around to find that. I could look around in my very recent, very current reality and look at my money situation and see what it is. And the reason why I'm hammering this home so hard is because, again, what we focus on expands. So you going to spend all this time looking for your money story, trying to find your money story in some capacity is really just going to have you rooting around in the problems of not enough money and that's not what we want here. What I want you to leave with at the end of this conversation is a completely different perspective on money, what it is, how to make it, how to call it in, how to use it, not to have to go do a bunch of work to figure it out. Because again, like I said, when we play around in the past or we play around in the feelings of the past, we get more feelings of the past. So if you feel good about money in the past, then go digging around in the past. If you don't, then I want you to stay here in the present and in the future. Fair enough? That was like the longest introduction and like all of my asterisks I could ever possibly give you. But this is such a charged topic and there's so many misconceptions that I really, really wanted to get clear on that. Okay. But here's what we're going to do today. This isn't about, again, like I said, manifesting money. It's about how to stop chasing it and start aligning with it, because that is the key. I'm going to say that for you again. We are going to learn how to stop chasing money and start aligning with money, because that is the key to having a lot of money. Because the truth of the matter is, most of us have been chasing it from a mindset of scarcity, lack, not enough, right? I shared my story. And basically what happens when we chase something, it sends out an energy of I don't have it, right? Like if you are chasing, I don't know why animals are coming to mind right now. I have a dog who's a runner, right? And every time you let Finn out, if he can get free, he will run, and he will run far and fast. And he's an Australian Shepherd. And so he's very fast. And we used to chase Finn, right? We used to go outside and try to get him in and chase him and follow him around. And anymore these days, I tell my family, don't chase him. Don't chase him. He thinks you're playing a game. And when he is chased, he will run. And that is the case with really anything, but very specifically money. If you are chasing money, if you're trying to run behind it and catch it and spend all this energy to get it, it is going to run away from you, because energetically chasing is, I don't have, I need to go get it. I need to go get it. I need to go get it. It is outside of me. And again, time we chase anything outside of us, it is going to run away. Just like when I chase my beautiful, darling little puppy, he runs away from me. So when you are chasing, and again, if money isn't your story, swap it out. But when you chase money, money will run away from you, because chasing energy is lack, scarcity, not enough, gotta go get it, gotta make it. Because oftentimes behind that chasing is once I catch it, right? Like with me, with my dog, once I catch my dog, he'll be safe, right? My biggest fear with Finn when he runs isn't so much that he's not coming back. He's coming back, right? It's that when he is out and about, that he is going to get hit by a car or somebody who isn't friendly to dogs, or he's going to jump on somebody and hurt them, right? So to me, having Finn back in my house when I chase him, when he comes back, is when I feel like he is safe and we are safe, right? Our family is safe. So for you, if your story is I am chasing money because once I get it, I will be happy, I will be fulfilled, I will be safe. Again, it has happiness, fulfillment, and safety outside of you. And I think that's really, really important. And again, so much of our story is not ours. And I think this is the most important part for all of us. So many of you, again, regardless of your bank balance, have a story about money that is not yours. You did not, and I love to use the example of babies. You guys are going to hear this example on every damn podcast I record for you, is that there's an example that babies don't come out of the womb worrying about money. They don't know what money is. They don't think about money, right? They don't need money to survive. We take care of them, right? And I understand that there are impoverished places where this doesn't happen. But generally speaking, for the listeners of this podcast, you are people who, when your babies are born, you can afford to give them food, even if it's a stretch, right? You can afford to feed them and take care of them and to clothe them and to put diapers on them, right? To put them in childcare. Like, you do that. Babies don't know anything about money, but they manage to exist without money because they're getting their money through you, right? Which means the story that you have about money is not your money, because you don't come out of the womb with the money story. So you have been sold a story through your parents' beliefs about money, where you grew up, all of that. And that is probably how you handle money, which is my money is hard work, suffering, and struggling, because that's how my parents grew up, right? So that's how they grew up. And even though, again, we were an upper middle class family, but money was always a discussion, right? It is always a discussion. It's still a discussion to this day. So, of course, those were the money stories that I inherited. I inherited the story of that from money. So it is not my money story. I want to have a very different relationship with money. I want to have a very different thing with money. But the truth of the matter is, here, money is neutral. It is not, money just exists. And money is attracted to the energy of which it is invited into. I'm going to say that for you again. Money just exists, and it is invited into the energy, or attracted to the energy that invites it in. So money in and of itself is a completely neutral thing. It is your energy to it. And again, most of us, it is not ours, because my energy around money is now currently, what I'm really working on is that money is not even a factor in my life. And what I mean by that is that there is enough money always. Right? The money is always coming in. The money is always coming in, and it is just a tool and a resource that I have to experience the things that I want to experience. So for me, I have stopped focusing on money and started focusing on, what do I want to experience? What kind of life do I want to experience? How do I want to experience my business? How do I want to experience signing clients? How do I want to experience travel? How do I want to experience investing in my business? And I really focus on those things instead of focusing on money, because again, money is a neutral resource that is responding to my energy about it. And so if my energy is that I always have the money that I need to have the experience that I desire to experience, then I don't even really need to worry about money, right? I just need to focus on becoming an energetic match to the experiences that I want to have. So I hope that that is making sense for you guys, because again, money is completely neutral. It has no power at all, except for the story that you put behind it. Okay. I think that's really, really important. But what I think, at least for many of us, especially when I say many of us, I say my type A, high achieving, badass women who I know are listening to the show, is that we now have our worthiness wrapped up in money, because we live in a world that has told us that that's what makes us worthy, is success, right? Achievement, a certain amount of money, a corner office, a certain area that you live in, having a second home, driving a specific kind of car, having certain kind of experiences, flying first class. We have been taught this is what rich and successful looks like. And so anybody who's been chasing rich and successful thinks that that is what it looks like. But then that if we don't have those things, that we are not enough, that we don't have enough. And so we have our worthiness. Am I enough as a human being wrapped up in our bank account balances? Because that is what the world has taught us. And then again, we decided to start businesses or chase careers or whatever it is that we decided we wanted to do. We then determined that there was a title, or again, a dollar amount, or some sort of outside experience that we were all chasing. At least that was my story. It's most of my clients' story, right? You were chasing something outside of you, and whether or not you achieved that thing decided whether or not you were worthy, which is why you have your worthiness and your bank account balance in the same box. And my goal here today is to pull those two things out of boxes, because your money, as we mentioned before, is completely neutral, right? So how a neutral thing can make you worthy is up to you, right? But your worthiness is not up for discussion. It's not up for debate, right? You are worthy, just like we were talking about babies earlier. Babies come out of the womb worthy, right? We never are you good enough? Are you smart enough? Are you going to achieve enough? Like, do you deserve it? Did you earn it? Have you suffered enough for it? Like, we don't do that to babies, which again means that we are inherently worthy, because we were all once babies too. And we were perfect exactly the way we are, exactly the way God made us, right? And again, God, universe, source, whatever you resonate with. Okay. I'm going to use God for this example, but you use what works best for you. But the truth of the matter is that your worthiness has nothing to do with money. You could have $0 and be worthy. You could be homeless and be worthy, or you could be a bajillionaire and be worthy. And again, the reason why this is so hard for so many of us is because we live in a world that vilifies wealthy people. The wealthy people are the reason why the poor people don't have enough. And I don't believe that to be true. I believe that money, again, is a completely neutral resource that we never seem to run out of, right? Like, look at history. We never seem to run out of money, right? We never seem to. You hear every day that more and more people are becoming millionaires, are becoming billionaires, right? Like, where did the money come from? The truth of the matter is, this is why this is such an interesting conversation, because money is fucking made up anyway. It's not even real. What I mean by that is most people that have billions of dollars don't have stacks of cash, right? It is all on a computer screen. So again, your money that you have all of your worthiness wrapped up in is a made up exchange that you have made feel very important in your journey because you thought that those external things that you needed that money to buy, the house, the car, the neighborhood, the title, the whatever it is that you're chasing, you thought that that was a symbol of that, right? But it is just this made up, they're made up numbers on a screen, right? It is made up numbers on a screen, even like using credit, for instance. Like if you put something on a credit card, right? Like it's just made up. That's not even your money, right? You just transferred, you said, hey, these people over here are going to pay you, right? Like it's just bananas when you really start to pull apart the very practical application of money. It's how fucking made up it is. And then we live in a world too, and we'll talk about debt here in a minute, a little bit. I want to talk about that. But your worthiness, you have to separate it from your money. You have to separate your enoughness from money. Because as long as your enoughness is in the dollar amount your business makes or the dollar amount in your bank account, then you are never going to be happy and fulfilled because that's not its job. You are giving it a job that it is never meant to have, which is why you have never successfully found it, regardless of how well you have done. This is why so many of you achieve so much and you never feel good enough. You always feel like you're failing somewhere. You're always wondering, when is the rug going to be ripped out from under me? Next year is going to be the year that I can't duplicate this production or I can't do this thing. And again, it is because you think that your worthiness is in that thing instead of realizing that it doesn't fucking matter. I can sit on my couch, drink coffee, and eat bonbons all day, and I would still be a worthy human. I would still be enough. I would still be whole and worthy and complete and loved, even if I did nothing. And that is where you need to be if you want to make a fuck ton of money. Because if you don't see yourself as worthy with no money, doing nothing, producing nothing, you're going to have a hard time ever feeling like any amount of money is enough. And I am speaking to you from a place of very personal experience and still working on this journey, right? Still working on this journey and finding around every corner another way where we have given our power away. And in this instance, in this particular topic, we've given our power away to money, right? But the truth of the matter is, what is money then? Money is energy. Money is energy, which means your relationship with yourself determines your financial energy. Because if you don't think you're worthy, if you're not producing, then you're not putting out an energy of abundance, a magnetic energy of calling in what you want because I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I'm still new. I just started doing this. What if they find out I don't know what I'm doing? And whatever other stories you tell yourself in your head, right? Your relationship with yourself is actually what is going to determine how much money that you can have, because you, again, have to put out an energy that is a match to a shit ton of money. If you want a shit ton of money, and that much money is not a match to not enoughness, right? Do you guys see where I'm going with this? That the only way that you are ever going to break free of the need for money is realizing that money is just a neutral resource and that you are the secret sauce. What's also so fun about money is every dollar you've ever made, every dollar that you've ever experienced, you created it. Nobody gave it to you, right? Like we have this weird thing where we're like, I don't know where the money's going to come from, but like you found every dollar you've ever made. Your energy created every single effing dollar that you have ever made, which means your energy can create more dollars. But the only way you get to create more dollars is if your vibration raises, if your frequency raises. And you can't have a high frequency of abundance and love and joy and fulfillment and pure fucking magic and incredible experiences if you're over here telling yourself that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't know enough, you haven't worked hard enough, you're not worthy of love and happiness and fulfillment. Those two things cannot happen at the same time. That is why you're having such a hard time with money. It has nothing to do with your work ethic. It has nothing to do with your industry. It has nothing to do with any choice that you've made other than you have decided that you have money and worthiness in the same box. And when you pull them apart, that is when you're going to see a change. That is when you're going to see a change. But it's so important that you realize that money is a neutral thing and it is attracted to your energy of abundance and wholeness and fulfillment and all of those other things. That is what it's going to be attracted to. Okay. So how do we do the work, right? How do we do the work here? First of all, we really need to evaluate who we are as it relates to money. Okay. We need to evaluate who we are as it relates to money. And what I mean by that, again, is how do you see money as something outside of you that may or may not show up. Right? So as of right now, your relationship with money is that money is something outside of me and it may or may not show up. Who are you waiting? This is a great question. Who are you waiting for to give you the money? For the money to show up? Who are you waiting for? Who are you waiting for to tell you that you're worthy, that you're enough, that money is just, that's going to come to you? When you think about it, again, it's so fucking bizarre that we have all this power outside of us. Like who's in charge here? Who's in charge of the money? That's right, my love. You are. So who are you as it relates to money? Do you see yourself as a victim of money? As somebody who has, who can't trust money, who can't depend on money, who isn't good with money? Because that's exactly what you're going to have. When you see yourself as I am the creator of the money, and it is my energy and my wholeness and my worthiness that creates, money starts to bend to your will. Money starts to come in from all different fucking places, right? That's what people talk about when they talk about manifesting money, that money came in from nowhere. I had a client tell me that the other day. She's like, oh yeah, I randomly had somebody reach out to me. And like, no, that wasn't random. That was a direct reflection of your energy. You have been putting out an energy of abundance. You've been putting out an energy of becoming a match to the type of business that you want to run. And so God is bringing you the response to that. The law of attraction and the law of vibration, the law of attraction I've talked about in every podcast so far, I'm probably going to talk about in every one, right, is going to bring you back a match to what you are energetically matched to. So you're energetically matched to random people reaching out to you to do business with you because you believe that you it just comes to you. It just comes to you, right? So you have to determine what kind of relationship do I want to have with money? I shared with you at the beginning of this podcast with me. It's not even about money anymore. Right? It's not even about money anymore because I realize when I get wrapped up in money, I become obsessed. I have my worthiness in it, my enoughness with it. I stress out about it all of the time. So I had to stop thinking in terms of money and I had to start thinking in terms of lives impacted, right? I no longer have just a revenue goal. The revenue goals are written down, but the goal that I write down every day has nothing to do with money. It has to do with how many lives I impact, both for free and paid, right? Because to me, that is my currency. That is my relationship with money. I see myself as the creator of money. And the more people that I serve, the more people that I impact, the more people that I wake up, the more people who get a transformation from my stuff, whether free or paid, is how I increase my value. And when I increase my value, I call in more money, right? When I increase my vibration, when I increase my energy to a point where I am so fucking valuable, the money comes in droves. Like that's what I'm going for with money here. I don't even want to talk about money, where it's coming from, the economy, interest rates, what's going on, industry, marketing, blah, 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 blah. Don't care. Don't care about that because again, if money is energy and it is responding to me, I just have to be here in an energy of abundance and joyful expectation that God is the source of my supply. And I know that that sounds weird and bizarre. And if you'd have told me 5 years ago that I would be recording a podcast telling you that God is the source of your supply, I would have laughed in your face. But the truth of the matter is I've learned it over and over and over again. What I mean by God is the source of your supply. The universe, the energy that you put out is the source of your supply. Have you ever had money just show up? Have you ever had money just show up? Guys, I got a $20 check the other day in the mail from some overpayment of something, right? Like money just showed up. I did nothing for it. Yes, of course I paid it and I brought it back, but like, I don't think that that is a coincidence being that I have been so focused on changing my relationship with money and changing my relationship with how money comes to me, because I no longer believe that money comes to me based on the number of hours that I put into my business. Money comes to me based on the value of which I see myself. How valuable do I see me? How valuable do I see my work? How valuable do I see the transformation that I get my clients? How valuable do I see my relationship with my partner? How valuable do I see my relationship with my children, with my parents, with my sister, with my community, with my kids, friends, parents, with my girlfriends? How much value do I think I bring to those situations? Because that's what I'm using to call in cash, not work. I'm using my energy to call in cash instead of work. And I invite you to do the same. But the only way that we do this, again, is we got to take the worthiness and the cash out of the same bucket and start viewing them as separate. Money is a completely neutral thing that is responding to my energy, and my worthiness is not up for discussion, which means that there is no shortage of money that you can make. That's what people say when they mean you can be and do and have whatever you can desire. You can make as much fucking money as you want to, as you see yourself worthy and valuable. And then there immediately comes the conversation of, is it ethical? And there's actually a gal I chatted with recently that I think I'm going to bring into the podcast and interview and have a conversation about the ethics of money, like how much money is too much money, because I think that's a whole really powerful and important conversation. But that's not the conversation we're having today, right? But here's what needs to happen. Here's the shift that needs to happen. Instead of feeling like I need X amount of dollars in the bank account for me to feel safe and secure, you have to be safe and secure, and money will reflect that, right? So if you think if I have less than 6 months worth of living expenses in my savings account, I feel unsafe and I feel like there's not enough money. Because again, you have your security in the money. But when you realize that I am the source of my own security by the energy that I put out, my money will reflect that, right? That's what we need to shift is money as my security to I am my security, and money reflects that, right? I am abundance and money reflects that. I am valuable and money reflects that. I am worthiness and money reflects that. Your current money situation is a direct reflection of how worthy you think you are. Okay. So this is just, I can talk about this for days and days and days, but what we really need to do as we wrap this up is we need to move from the external to the internal validation, right? And when we say external validation, it's the cars, the houses, the big financial wins, the talking about, I made 7 figures in 5 minutes on the internet, blah, 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 right? That is all about external validation. Right. But when we bring it all back, right, I'm my own safety, I'm my own security, I'm my own worthiness, whether or not I have the flashy possessions or whatever the case may be. So when you're feeling anxious about money, I want you to ask this question. Is this about the money or is this about me not feeling like enough? I'm going to tell you again. Is this about the money or is this about me not feeling enough with my current circumstances? I literally teach an entire lesson on acceptance because honestly, our resistance to our current financial situation is a really big problem. And I'm going to do a whole pod on resistance for you guys. Resistance and contrast, I think, is my next one. I'm writing it down so I can remember. I wrote it down this morning, but it just came through loud and clear. This is the next one. So we're going to talk about resistance and contrast next week. But when you feel anxious about money, is this about the money or is this about me not feeling like I am enough? Okay. And then finally, we are going to really think about what is worthiness, right? Like what is worthiness, your enoughness? Maybe that's not it. I'm sorry, my dogs are losing their minds. So here's what the things that we need to do. I'm going to recap this for you in 4 very simple steps. 1, examine your money beliefs, right? Like really think about how was I raised? How do my parents feel about money? What was my parents' relationship with money? How do I see that in my own life? Okay. And then we're going to reframe worthiness, right? Whatever that is for you, you're worthy, whole, complete. One of the ones I wrote down when I was planning for this is I'm worthy of abundance simply because I exist. I'm worthy of abundance simply because I exist. Like how magical does that feel, right? And really practicing like acknowledging your intrinsic value separate from money. Like what are the ways that you provide value? When you start to notice all of the ways that you provide value, again, I'm going to give you a very real example. I hate making lunches, And, but to me, that is a way that I provide value to my children to feed them a healthier meal than they would get at school. Right. So to me, making lunches is a way that I'm intrinsically valuable, right? I'm valuable because my kids eat a healthy lunch that is food that they like and enjoy. That is a way that I add value to my family. That is a way that I add value to the world. Right. So again, it has nothing to do with the amount of money I spent on those groceries, but the fact that I add value to my kids and I put a little bit of love in their lunch every day. Right. So really reframing that. And then of course we have to shift our energy. Okay. Gratitude. Again, one I mentioned on every podcast, probably going to continue to happen. Okay. But your gratitude practice, feeling grateful now, feeling grateful. I have a Starbucks coffee with me here today. Every time I go to Starbucks and I spend way too much money on a cup of coffee, I express gratitude for being able to do that. Right. Instead, because if it's something you do every day, right, you spend that money every day, that money's gone. It's already factored into your budget, all the other things. But to me, like how fucking cool is it that I have enough excess money in my life, that money is so abundant in my life that I have $6 to spend on a cup of coffee. And again, there's somebody out there being like, I can't believe you spent $6 on a cup of coffee. It's probably my father. But to me, that is a sign of abundance. Like guys, I'm not kidding when I tell you, I remember the first time I was able to just like consistently load my Starbucks app over and over and over again without looking at my bank account balance. Like to me, that felt wealthy. And I load my Starbucks card at like $25 a pop, right? It's not like I'm putting like $300 on at a time. It's $25, right? But knowing that I have the ability to do that is something that makes me feel wealthy. And then every time I go and get that cup of coffee, I feel so fucking grateful for that cup of coffee, right? Like that I have the resources to be able to get the cup of coffee that I want to get. And again, this is a very simple example, but it's a great way to show the world, to show the universe, to show the law of attraction, to show that energetic field that you're showing up and meeting, that you are grateful for what you have so that you can call in more, right? What we put out, we get back. When we're grateful for what we have, we get more things to be grateful for. Okay. Guys, I'm going to wrap up for you today because I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself. Your worthiness has nothing to do with money. Money is simply a neutral resource. It is just energy, and it is reflecting the relationship that you have with yourself. So turn up the volume on the self-love and the self-appreciation and how amazing you are and how good you are at what you do and the value you provide to your clients and to your family and to the world around you and what an incredible human you are, right? Reflect on that because the relationship that you have with yourself is what money is reflecting. So if you don't think very highly of yourself, money is always going to be an issue, even if you make a lot of it. But if you think you're fucking amazing and incredible, and it doesn't matter what you do, then you will always, always, always have enough. And when you really start to heal those parts of you that feel unworthy, not enough, not good enough, money just becomes a byproduct of that. It is no longer the goal. The goal then becomes impact and experiences and not money, because you don't need the money. That's not what you want anyway. You want to make the impact. You want the feeling. You want that feeling of safety, that feeling of security, that feeling of abundance, that feeling of overflow, that feeling of, oh my God, it just feels so yummy. It feels so good. And it feels so amazing. That's what you want anyway. And when you heal or connect with those parts of you that feel like you're not enough, again, money will come then, but not the other way around. See you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If you're walking away with a new perspective, some fresh inspiration, or the push you needed to show up as your uncensored self, I'd love to hear about it. Share this episode, leave a review, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, success isn't about following somebody else's rules. It's about owning who you are, deciding what you want, and going after it unapologetically. Until next time, keep leading, keep creating, and stay uncensored.